Hello, good people. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you are. Richard here, and we're back to our amazing community. Serve your time. Um, Today, actually, I think my flu is not as bad. It's actually subsidizing, but I went for a very early swim, and sometimes it gives you, that flu kind of voice, but not really flu. So for those that are new to the channel, again, welcome, karibu sana. The name of the channel is Serve Your Time, and the purpose for the channel really is to create a community and an environment where we can share ideas, or we can share experiences relatable to life, or give feedback to that are relating to life, in the hope and belief that somehow, somewhere, someone out there will be able to find this feedback useful, and perhaps one or the other apply the same in their day-to-day life struggles. So today I actually want to talk about a topic that's close to my heart as well, and this topic goes way back, I think, in 2005, and it was actually inspired by a listening that I got from our headmaster. Those of you who don't know what that is, that's in in a school setup. When you have secondary schools and in high schools, you have the head of the school, and in some cases it's the principal. In this case, it was the principal, but also come headmaster. So usually, because I went to school in Uganda, and we have a secondary level, which is from Form 1 to Form 4. Then we have high school, college, which is from 5 to Form 6. So at the time I was in high school, and he was doubling as a principal, but at the same time the headmaster now for the college. So he was actually a brother in the Catholic world. I think there's that part of the Catholic service space where you have priests, I think you have nuns, and then you have brothers. And in particular, this our school was run by what we call Brothers of Christian Instructions. So we had a gentleman called Brother Pius. Now, Brother Pius, one time, he was giving, I think, what I would say was a lecturer, because normally we'd have those those morning assemblies where the principal, would address the school, which happens, I believe, in every other school anyway. Almost, it's almost a global phenomenon, for lack of a better word. So that day, I really can't remember the exact day, but I remember it was, I think, somewhere in 2005. And he said, in whatever you do, that is in life, find a missing link and bridge the gap. That stuck with me. That really stuck with me, to the point that as I grew as a human, as I grew, in the career, in business, and all that, in age, it always came back to me, So that means that the first question is, what am I doing, right? What is the missing link? And how do I bridge the gap? So for my case, I'll give you an example. In the end, I found myself in the legal practice, path. And the question then came back to me now in reality. And I asked myself, okay, now that I'm a lawyer, now that I'm a practitioner of law, what it is exactly that I'm doing, of course, in line with service of humanity, from a business point of view, what is the missing link, right? And how can I bridge the gap? So I remember very well, I think by 2014, I had already decided that as a lawyer, I need to figure out a way to bridge the gap between the law and the people, right? In the sense that how can I bring people closer to the law through enabling an environment, through creating an enabling environment within which access to lawyers becomes easy, in a sense that it's sustainable, it's affordable, from both sides. So that is how I ended up, starting doing my first tech startup, Nonafrique. Some of you know it as Haki, which is basically Uber for lawyers. So that journey started off in February 2014, and I think we incorporated Nonafrique in November 11th November actually, 20. Was it 2015? Yeah. Now, in doing so, right, we realized that the gaps could be different, right? Again, depending on what you do. And for me, that was always the lesson. So, it could be that in our case, again, for me, it was also triggered by several experiences, friends of mine having encounters, not knowing the law, even myself, finding myself in a situation where, as a lawyer, I don't know specific things, specific times, going into places, public or private alike, whether it's a church or it's a mall, with so many unknowns, and finding yourself in a position where inadvertently, you are breaking the law, which also means that, you are not good for business, but you don't know. How am I supposed to know? And given the fact that it's a known principle in criminal law in particular, that ignorance of the law is no defense. So that was for me a driving factor. In Nonafrique to date still on Play Store, we're still pushing it. So of course, success or otherwise, no, that's in the doing. But that lesson really, for me, stuck home. So you could be doing anything, It could be professional, it could be in the informal sector, it could be a product that, you're manufacturing, it could be service that you're giving. The biggest question would always be, what are you doing in your line of work? Okay. Are you a teacher? you a social media person, TikTokers and all these things? Or are you a construction worker, Are you a cleaning person providing cleaning services to homesteads and, Think of anything that you're doing and always ask yourself, in this particular space, okay, what is the missing link? What is it that I can do, right, that could make the nature of my service, the output, the desired beneficiary for my service, right? If you're cleaning a person, that would be, the people that live in the homestead or office that you're cleaning. And ask yourself, what is missing, How can I provide the, solution to that, to what it is missing? Now, what is missing in this case would be the missing gap. Then what you do about it will be bridging the gap. And at the end of the day, in doing so, you'll make your work environment a better place. You provide better services or goods. You will actually create more opportunities for you and for people around you. You won't even see it coming. And in the end of the day, the world will be a better place for everyone. So, what are you doing? What is that missing gap? Have you even allowed yourself to think that there could be a missing gap? Beyond just, checking in, if you're 9 to 5, it's coming in, do your routine. Okay. And then bridge that. I'll give you an example. Personally, when I don't like a service, I try as much as I can to give feedback, right? Positive criticism for majorly. And positive criticism doesn't necessarily mean it would be sugarcoating or impressing. No, it's real feedback, but not the most comfortable. So, because I'm driven by what I identify as a missing gap, trying to bridge that gap, I tend not to let businesses go without feedback, because otherwise how do they improve? That's why you find that I do a lot of Google reviews, and perhaps like Serve Your Time will be one of those entities in future that can grow into a loop. So I'll give you an example. Like, I think a couple of weeks ago, one of these places I go to, Karura Forest, to run, there's a restaurant in there. I think it's called River Cafe or something. So I usually, frequent that place. Sometimes I go early, do my work, and then go for the run. So those guys have a policy where the washrooms, because of the nature of the activity, especially running and all that, there's so many people that come to the place. So they tend to reserve the washrooms for their customers specifically, Now, so the gentleman who has always been, doing the cleaning in the morning, I always see them, whenever I go, evening, whichever time. So this one time, because I mean, I would respect the fact that, you cannot just go into a place for the sake of utilizing, a facility in the exclusion of what it takes, to maintain it. So, but this time, despite this gentleman having seen me come to this place almost all the time, I was told no. Why? Because in his the place was open. I think like a minute or two from the official opening time. You could see everyone was up and down. So had I gone to sit down, right, at the table, order something, certainly they will have, come to my attention, or rather to my service. But because I really wanted to use the washroom and perhaps come back later. So you could see that the person in charge of the cleaning, the approach for them was more of, you'll be giving a lot of work. Just wait for the official time, right? So the guy's like, no, we have 2 minutes to opening, so I cannot open for you until, it's 8 o'clock. And this is like 2 minutes to 8 o'clock. So I asked this gentleman, okay, I understand, but I'm a customer, and really, I really need to ease myself. So the guy just, in spite of him being there. So, and I'm not saying that we shouldn't stick to rules. However, are we sticking to rules because rules, favor? If that person was the business owner, would they risk losing a customer, because it's 1 minute to opening and the whole place is open? It's just that I have not opted to go sit down, place an order, but I've only... So I was basically viewed as someone who just coming to use the premises, the washrooms. So now for me, if I was in the shoes of that gentleman, the cleaning person, I'd be asking myself, okay, and this is a guy who had seen me always, all the time. For me, I'd be wondering, okay, what is the gap here, right? What can I do within my power to bridge the gap? So if you have, because if you're able to identify that actually there's a customer here, legit customer, repeat customer, but now we have an issue, maybe a timing issue. But if he thought as the business owner, the gap there was to accommodate situations, because I really was in need, and there was no clean place at that time. So in my view, that could have been a gap. So, and there could be different scenarios in different situations, in so many different ways. So the question is always, what is the missing gap? Have you identified it? And how can you bridge that gap? And I think if we approach life, again, in so many scenarios, and they will be different, they'll be very different. But as long as, you're able to always remember, right, that you have the opportunity to identify the gap, and bridge that gap, you'll be surprised. You'll be shocked by the results of that simple mind shift. You'll be a better business owner, you'll be a better employee, you'll be better entrepreneur, you'll be better everything. Because people think that if they're not employed, that's not their business. Eh? I've always had people say, that is something I can do if it's my business. But what makes you think that when you actually own the business, right, you will be different? You will do, the opposite. No. You'll be lying to yourself, my friend. If you're not able to provide a service in the confines of employment with the mindset of business owner, then thinking that once you become the business owner, you will behave like a business owner, you're lying to yourself. Because you have to practice, right, actions of business owner, utilize the learning opportunity if you're employed, right? Try as much as possible to be closer to treating this business as your own. That's the only way you can effectively get the knowledge or the skills or even the mindset of business owner. So it goes back to the same things. So bridging the gap simply helps you achieve some of these things. It will only make you a better person. It will only make you more valuable for your business, for yourself, for the skills you have to develop, for the people around you. It will be incredibly a plus. So I'm sure that I've said enough on this issue. It's something that I thought, or I've always thought that it's good. And don't forget, learning never stops. My good friend Fred, if he ever gets to this episode, we always have boardroom fights. And I agree totally. Learning never stops. But the question is, what is your learning curve? Okay. What is your missing gap? What is the missing gap in your environment? What actions or efforts are you doing to bridge that gap? And if you make that a reality, everything shall fall in place. And you, your business, your employment, your skills, your goals, they'll all just take off. And success will be only a matter of when. So, having said that, I want to thank you again. Please, if you haven't subscribed, do subscribe. Give us feedback. Let us know if you find anything that is of value, or if you have something to share. Please share with us, and let us all build a community that can truly speak into making the world a better place within our environment. So, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that there's one or two things that would speak to you, or at least to someone that is close to you. And I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Greetings from Kenya. Kwaheri. Bye bye. Mungu abariki. God bless you. Mungu abariki Africa. God bless Africa. Richard out.